Could you put the mic a little closer there?
And we go into greater detail in terms of looking at differences between the West Bank and perceptions in the West Bank and Gaza. That part of the report goes back to 2008 when we fielded those studies, and it provides very, very important findings to understand the current situation right now for the peace process. So I encourage you to flip to that section. And if you have questions later, during the networking, we can talk.
Maggie, would you mind just sharing quickly, like a highlight, just kind of to
a highlight that is not too depressing.
Oh, please, whatever you think is most important.
It's really hard. I mean, I'm sure, as most of you know, it's obviously a very, very difficult and challenging issue. But at the time we fielded the study, we saw that there was majorities of Palestinians and Israelis supported the peace process. But at the same time, they were not very optimistic that there would be an end to the conflict. So it's a very, very mixed message, if you like, and that was back it was the fall of 2008. So on the one hand, you have a desire to support this effort to bring sides together and to have resolution, but it's almost like deep down you can see that people are disillusioned that there would ever be resolution to the conflict.
The blue and the green, right here. Right near where you are.
Thank you. My name is Ann Sweetser, and I'm an anthropologist. And so on one hand, I'd like to compliment you on the data, but also express some frustration that you haven't disaggregated or standardized with reference to any variable other than statehood. What about gender? What about rural, urban? What about age? What about class? What about education? Do you have that data, and do you have any indication of the validity or the force of that data in refining the results that you present? Thank you.
Absolutely. One of the most important and first things we do in any of our analyses is divide all of the data and look at it by each one of those factors. One of the most interesting things for this current report is that we did not see a great deal of interesting differences. We specifically focused on this when we looked at the ready and not ready groups, because to a certain degree, we expected perhaps to see age differences or gender differences or education differences among those who are open for engagement compared to those who are closed. Within the Muslim societies, we saw no gender difference between those who are ready and those who are not ready. We saw the most minor of age differences with those who were not ready to be slightly younger. And we saw essentially no education differences among those who are at the highest levels of education. In the Western societies, there was only one interesting demographic change, and it was among those who were not ready in Western societies were slightly more likely to be female. So as a whole, the more interesting demographic finding was really the lack of demographic findings. The feelings were very universal.